All right, welcome to SICFIT Scottsdale. My name is Kayyem, and this is my co-host, Luke Kayyem. We're married, if you didn't figure that out yet. No. We are here to talk to you guys a little bit about nutrition and how to incorporate healthy, nutritious meals into your life for you and your spouse or your significant other and your family. And so today our goal is to share with you some tips and tricks that make our life a little bit easier and how we cook in the kitchen, and share with you our experience and get you to taste test a couple things. And we will be doing a little bit of demoing, but mostly we'll be talking about how we make the food, what goes into them, what the ingredients are, and what that looks like. So
we have known each other for quite some time, and we have understood each other's eating habits for over 15, going on 20 years. In high school, as high school sweethearts, our meals of the day pretty much consisted of a bagel and cream cheese for breakfast, a turkey sandwich on wheat or white for lunch, and some kind of pasta and meat for dinner. Throughout the day, we would drink coffee and Gatorade, and after a few years, my wife went off to college, and she gained what I call the freshman 25. She went to San Diego State, so it was a few more extra pounds on her because they do things extreme. And I went to a college up north, and all of my roommates were football players and bodybuilders. So right away I started to learn some things, but it wasn't truly until we got married that we realized that some of the things that we were eating, some of the choices that we were making probably weren't the best. If you guys have seen our wedding picture from 2006, I joke around about it and say that we're like Shrek and Fiona, and truly that's what we felt like at that time. So we've learned a lot of things. We're not going to specifically call it a certain diet. We're not going to call it paleo. We're not going to call it zone. We're not going to call it Atkins. We're not going to call it South Beach. We're just going to give you suggestions and recommendations that truly work well so that our kids buy into what we're doing at home and so that we stay as healthy and fit as we possibly can.
cool? Awesome.
So we handed out appetizers, snacks. My beautiful assistant Camille here. Mango, right? So let's start there with a snack. Yes, it's a fruit. Yes, it can be a candy. If you look at the back of these things, wherever you're shopping, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, any kind of market, you're going to see the packaging, and it's going to say mango, because they're not going to tell you if there's sulfite in it. They're not going to tell you if there's sugar in it. You have to read labels. It's probably the most important thing, and especially with our kids, we want them to read labels so they understand. Especially when things can get really tricky, like per serving size. So there's only 30 grams of sugar per serving size, but the serving size is a gram or 2 grams. So you got to read the label. So the mango that you guys have, they have at Trader Joe's, and it is the cleanest. It is just regular mango. There's no sugar added. There's no sulfur added. So you want to keep things as clean as you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, if you want dessert, you want ice cream, you deserve that. You did your exercise, you did your homework. But if you've eaten sugar throughout the day, it's too much. So I pick and choose my battles. I love mango. Our dentist tells me that I'm eating too much, and she knows the difference if I'm eating a lot of mango and if I'm not. So be careful with the mango. Lara bars are also a healthy snack. If you look at all the protein bars, and I'll use Trader's again as the example, there are rows and rows and rows. Well, people think that a protein bar is all the same. With the Lara bar, the most simple ingredients possible are dates, bananas, and raisins. One line. So if we were comparing and contrasting a Lara bar with any kind of protein bar, you're going to see line after line after line. I'm a label reader. I've become somewhat of a nerd with the nutrition stuff, so I enjoy reading back of labels and just kind of nerding out on it. But with the Lara bar, it's one line. At most, you'll get 2 lines because they now make like chocolate chip peanut butter Lara bars, and there's going to be a couple lines with the chocolate. But keep your ingredients, keep the things that you're eating as simple and as clean as possible. So that's the first thing that you guys had, was just a real easy snack.
And if you can't pronounce what's on the back of something, it's not food. So what we want to try to do is stick to whole foods, things like meat, chicken, fish, vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts. We want to take away all the processed stuff, take away the artificial sweeteners, take away anything that goes in to create something, because that's really not food for us. So the flow of today, we're going to talk through breakfast, we're going to talk through lunch, and lunch for us, and lunch for kids. So we have a couple lunch boxes here that will demo some ideal things that we can do for lunch for our kids. Snacks, dinner, and we're going to feed you a dessert. So you should definitely leave here satisfied and full of yummy, nutritious food as well. All right, so we also have a packet here that I'm going to pass around, and these are just photos of all of the food we're going to be eating today and how it was prepped or how it was made and the different process that went through it. Since we don't have a tremendous amount of time today to actually cook the food, and we're not in a kitchen and we're in a gym, we did have to pre-prepare some of these meals, but some of the stuff we are going to be able to do here in front of you. So I'm going to start this around, take a look through, go through it. And if you have any notes or you want to take notes with your phone or anything, that's totally fine as well. So our first item is breakfast. Luke and I differ very differently with the way that we like to eat breakfast, and our kids are a little bit different for breakfast. So Luke's breakfast consists of a Larabar and black coffee, right? My breakfast consists of bacon and eggs and fruit and anything I can get my hands on. I am a breakfast eater for sure all the time. I make it a priority for my kids to have breakfast as well. Cereal is a big go-to for kids, right? Would you say that 80% of kids like cereal? Parents think it's really easy and convenient, and so they give them cereal in the beginning. We want to try to break that habit because, again, we're just loading ourselves with a bunch of complex carbohydrates. So one easy breakfast idea that we were able to make, and I'm able to share with you today, is our egg quiche. So the ingredients in here is just eggs, peppers, mushrooms, and onions. And you'll see on here there's some photos of how they were prepared. But basically we take, in here is 2 dozen eggs because we're feeding 25 people here today. But 2 dozen eggs, beat that up in one bowl. In a pan, I'm sauteing mushrooms, onions, and peppers with just olive oil. That's all we used to cook with. And then we get a cookie sheet or a muffin tin. Grease that up with some of that coconut spray, coconut oil spray, which is all natural spray. Put a little bit of what's been sauteed in each cup. Put the eggs in each cup, about 3/4 of the way full. Turn the oven on 350, pop them in, and 20 minutes later, voila, you have a bunch of muffins that are so easy for the morning. You just nuke these, microwave them, you can put them in the oven, whatever. It's quicker than cereal.
And the reason why I eat Larabars is because these are all gone by the time it's time for me to have them. So I have nothing left to eat. However, when these are made, they're in a Ziploc bag, they'll stay for 2 or 3 days, you can pop them out. I'm truly all about fast food, and I talk about my kind of fast food. Mango, Larabars, egg poppers, anything I can hold in my hand is absolutely perfect. And this is the perfect zone meal. We have almond meal on the bottom.
No, not on these.
So we can add almond meal right up front somewhere. As the crust. Yep, exactly, for a little bit of additional
there
fats.
We go, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Cool. Almond meal by the bag, because this is not a show where we have corporate sponsors. Trader Joe's has the cheapest almond meal there is. It's clean, and we buy it by the bag load. So we use a ton of this, especially for baking and for snacks and for cooking. But there is a way that we just put a small layer in the bottom of it, then it becomes a crust.
So if you do want to go the crust route, you just put a bag of almond meal. You mix it with some coconut oil and some salt and pepper and some seasoning. And we'll talk a little bit about the different seasonings and spices. And then you kind of make it so that it's, you can compress it into the bottom of the muffin tins and then just put the sauteed stuff inside, the eggs inside, pop it in, 20 minutes, you're done. And this will last, 2 days in my house with 4 people. 3, we take these to lunch. They're not necessarily just breakfast, but they're really easy and quick, and kids love them. So my kids don't necessarily like all of the stuff all the time that we put in here, and I always do these after leftover night too, because if you have sausage or mushrooms or onions or something that you had, or any kind of vegetable, you can chop that up and put that in for breakfast the next morning. So for them, sometimes I just make them with eggs, and they'll eat them with eggs, and that's better than them eating cereal. They're not getting vegetables with it, but they do like them with sausage, so I do that. I put bacon in them sometimes. And they're grab and go, really easy. And I'm going to pass around some stuff so you guys can look at the ingredients. But you can see in here, the ingredients for here is just almonds. So it's just like a container of almonds.
Yeah, and I know some people can go really hardcore and make those themselves. They can take their food processor and take organic almonds, or you may have an almond farm in your backyard. You can do that the exact same way. Okay, so because most of you guys are in here for fitness, nutrition becomes a byproduct of that fitness. A lot of you guys work out at 6, 7, 8 in the morning, and the question is always asked, what do I eat before I train, right? Preferably, for me, I'm not going to eat anything. I'm not going to eat anything at all because I want to dig into those energy sources from fasting the night before so that I can burn as much as I possibly can. Now, some of you are just not used to the high-intensity training or heavy lifting early in the morning, which is why I don't train in the morning. I like a meal, 2 meals, even 3 meals, possibly a nap, depending on where I am in the world, before I work out. But those of you guys who are first thing in the morning and you feel like you need something in your system, I would not recommend a full egg cup. I would go maybe a quarter or a half of an egg cup. I would go a Lara bar. I would go some juice or a piece of fruit first so you can use that carbohydrate and be able to burn it off throughout your class. The other thing is the liquid meal. Since we're talking about breakfast, we'll talk a little bit about that right now. Protein shakes. Once again, people think that all protein shakes are the same, and they're not. We use almond milk or water to mix with our ice in the blender with fruits and the protein. Now, depending on what kind of shake we're making, depending on who we're making it for, I'm old school. I'm used to a shaker, some warm protein, and some tap water from the bathroom sink, right? That's how I grew up, weightlifting in high school. We've come a long way since then, and most people don't have that acquired taste. One of them is my wife. So, if we are making a shake at home, we can make it as snazzy as we want to, and the easiest, tastiest way to make a shake is go with vanilla protein, ice, and a banana. Okay, you get about an extra 100 calories with that banana, so you have to be cautious of everything you're putting in there, but it definitely is a perfect way to go for breakfast.
You can do all kinds of things with shakes. So vanilla is the most universal for desserts. My kids, don't know the difference between a milkshake at In-N-Out and a shake that I make at home with almond milk. And they're getting older, so they're getting to know the difference, but they didn't for the first 5 years.
And the milkshakes in In-N-Out, it's not real milk. I found out and I cried for a day. It's not real milk anymore.
So basically, you could do vanilla protein with almond milk with dates. So the medjool dates, just make sure that they're pitted dates. You take the dates out with the banana ice, throw that in there, and you have one of the best desserts and shakes possible. Another combination could be a banana and chocolate almond milk, and the chocolate protein is really good too. You could make smoothies with the egg or the whey. So just depending on what kind of program you're following, what kind of diet you're on, you're going to determine whether you're going to have an egg protein or a whey protein. If you're following a paleo diet, you're going to go egg versus whey because whey is a milk byproduct.
The other thing is, this is not a performance-based lesson, but I'm always thinking about performance. So how much protein, right? We have males, we have females, we have 6-year-olds, we have 66-year-olds in here. The egg protein is a much cleaner source of protein for everybody in the family. So if I'm making shakes for the kids, we're going with the egg. If we are baking, we're going to be using the egg protein. More performance-based, some of the athletes or people who are training or have been training, or who are not young, are going to be doing the whey protein. And I'm a big fan of both. I'll tend to use both depending on what I'm doing and where I'm at with my training. But the whey protein, like Naj said, is a dairy derivative, so it is not paleo. The egg protein is not 100% paleo, and that's where we talk about this whole paleo-ish kind of scale. There is aspartame in it. So they do carry liquid egg protein. It's fairly new, less than a year, which is probably the cleanest thing you can get on the market. It's very expensive. It's about $150, and it's pure liquid protein, but they send it to your house. But if you're thinking about how clean can you possibly get, those are those different layers of clean eating.
This snack or this shake is also great for an after-school snack. So right after school, kids need a snack before they do their homework, kind of get going. It's a great mid-afternoon way to get some protein in them and to get a good balanced meal. Yes? Almond butter, yeah. So almond butter and bananas, that's another option. So we have almond butter right here. We'll pass that around. So here's an almond butter versus a traditional peanut butter that you might use. This is also great with like apples. It's great with bananas. Actually, our dessert today is a frozen almond-covered banana with chocolate with 80% cacao. So you guys will get to try this. All right, next on the list, we've got our sweet potato hash. So it's just diced up sweet potatoes. Okay, so peeled, cut up into little pieces, and then I also cut up onions into little pieces. And basically, I sauteed the onions, and then I have this wok that's huge that I cook most stuff in.
From IKEA, $7.99.
The best piece of cooking hardware out there. And you just put this, you put the sauteed onions with the sweet potato in there with some coconut oil, and you just mix it and mix it and mix it and stir it until to your liking. So some people like it brown, some people just like it done. Sweet potato is pretty easy to see when it's done. Once it starts kind of mashing up or it looks like it's kind of starting to blending together, you should probably pull it out. But this is great for all ages. Again, kids love it. It's great with eggs in the morning. It's great with eggs and bacon, and we can pass this around. So Nicole, if you can. All right, so next thing, we're going to start making some lunch here. So we've got a bowl of lettuce, and basically this is just the packaged lettuce from the store, the spring lettuce mix. There's 2 packages in here. Let's talk about your famous chicken.
Okay, famous chicken. All right, so chicken is a pain in the bum to cook. Everybody has different ways, different methods. I loved barbecuing it, but I found out that I have to pay so much attention to the barbecue. Like with chicken, you know, with steak, you can throw a steak on and go check the score in the game, play some football with the kids. But with chicken, you have to be pretty meticulous about it. So what I do is I take chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs, free range. So we talk about the different layers of meats and grass-fed, free range. Pretty soon, everything will probably become some sort of free range, and there'll be different levels of that. But basic free-range chicken means the chickens can run around in the backyard and eat when they want to and not be cooped up in a small cage. So I take that chicken, wash it, put it in a bowl just like this, and then I take 2 marinades. Liquid brag amino acids. Anybody heard of this? Ever used this before? Okay, they've been around for a long time, the Bragg family, long time. And I do about 3 to 1 with my apple cider vinegar. So make sure all the chicken gets wet, and then just a splash of apple cider vinegar on top of it. And then I'll throw a little bit of this organic no-salt seasoning into it, and maybe a splash of some of these crunchy onions. Marinade could be 3 minutes to 24 hours, right? If we're going big, it's a Super Bowl party, all that thing's marinade for a day, day and a half. Last night, I think my marinade, the one that you're tasting, was 3 minutes. I literally got it wet and turned the barbecue on. So we turn the barbecue on high, make sure it's practically flaming, 400 or 500 degrees. Lift the lid, turn the barbecue then back down to about 275 to 3. We don't want to see any flames. Put the chicken on, got to sit there for at least 2 minutes. Put the lid back up, flip it to the other side. Now we've sort of encased the chicken, and I can turn it down a little bit lower again and keep it in the barbecue for about 15 to 20 minutes, flipping it probably every couple minutes. Okay? You want it to be slightly, and this is, you know, one of these things that you kind of have to learn as you go, but you don't want it to be cooked well done. You want to turn the barbecue off and let it sit there for a few minutes so that it cooks internally. And then wait at least 10 or 15 minutes before you actually eat the chicken. And that's it. That's it. That's it. Hey, that's it.
I know, right? And here are some other options. This is something I'll pass around too, but it's a nut-based, basically seasoning. Yeah, nut and spice blend. It's completely 100% paleo. You guys can take a look at it, move it around. I found it at a farmer's market. I always find cool stuff like that at a farmer's market. We found this avocado oil at a farmer's market. It's great with salads as well. Or I make a feta, cucumber, tomato, and avocado dip, and I use this avocado oil to kind of mix it all together. So you guys saw how quick and easy the salad was to make, right? So it was just packaged lettuce. The chicken that we make ahead of time, so we probably make, I don't know, 20 pieces of chicken at a time, just because it'll last us 2 or 3 days and we can eat it from multiple sources. So we'll do that and we'll put it just in a Ziploc bag just like that. For this, we just cut it up. But this way we can use it for salads, you can use it for dinner, you can use it to chop up and put in those egg quiches. You can do all kinds of stuff with it if it's prepared and cooked and in your refrigerator. The worst thing is just getting caught without food, or getting caught not prepared, because then you go into the pantry and you see, oh, what's there, open something up, and usually you're making bad choices at that point in time. So being prepared prepared is half the battle.
Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
So dressings, let's talk a little bit about that, because that seems to be a contention point with a lot of people. They fail when it comes to condiments. So we've got some options here. Ideally, if you're not, you want to do no dressing, okay? But if you need to do something, olive oil is the next best. Olive oil and like a balsamic vinegar is the next best thing, although know that balsamic has some sugar in it, so if you're doing a strict paleo, that wouldn't be approved. You can do different kinds of blends where you could take olive oil and lemon juice and mustard and mix that up, and that's a great salad dressing as well. The avocado oil works really well. Luke likes to use the apple cider vinegar. For me, I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather just do olive oil, which is what you guys have on there today.
So if anybody has any GI tract issues, you just have a problem digesting anything, a glass of water first thing in the morning with about a splash of apple cider vinegar will help that. It'll make a huge improvement on your whole GI tract. And it tastes really good. I mean, they actually started, I don't know why it took them so long, but they sell little drink versions of this now, which is pretty much just distilled water and apple cider vinegar. But I remember, as a small kid, 5 years old, in my kids' days, my mom was a hippie. They used to have this in the refrigerator way back when. And it still works to this day. So that'll really help with digestion. If you eat something spicy or you drink, a ton of alcohol the night before, just a couple shots of this in your water, and it'll help that digestive process.
So moving on to kids' lunches, what do you have for lunch? And what?
Sandwich, crackers, and juice.
Juice. Sandwich, crackers, and juice. What do you have for lunch? Sandwiches, crackers, water. Okay. So we're going to come up with some just different ideas to spice it up a little bit and give your parents some ideas of what they could do to make it a little bit healthier and more nutritious. So, we recommend packing a lunch for your children. It's not always needed. I mean, sometimes my kids are like, it's pizza day, I want to buy pizza. Okay, fine. But we're not going to make a habit of it and do it every single day. So if you can be a little bit more proactive and be more cognizant about what's going in their body, the better. You also understand, what kind of nutrients they're taking in. And so when it comes to food, we want to look at calories in versus calories out, but we also want to look at the macronutrients that are involved in each food. So a candy bar that's 200 calories and that salad that's 200 calories are very different from a macronutrient perspective. There's a ton more nutrients in that salad than there is with a candy bar, although they are the same calorie content, right? And so our body works off of vitamins and minerals, which are found in the macronutrients, and that's how we're able to fuel ourselves without having to supplement with vitamins and other things. We want that to naturally try to come from food. So I try to pack a lunch, I'd say 4 out of the 5 days a week I pack a lunch for my kids, and a lot of it consists of, I involve them in the process, first of all. I get them cooking with me, I get them making things, and I get them involved in that process so that they like what's going into their lunches. I'm going to show you 2 of their favorite things to go into their lunches in just a second here. But fruit is always a great thing. You can cut these up. They don't like me to cut them up because they say they get brown by noon. And slimy and brown, but sometimes they have the packaged ones that are already pre-sliced, although those do have some type of preservative in them to keep them nice and moist. I like to just cut an apple in half and put a piece of saran wrap around it, and that usually does the trick, and that keeps them pretty engaged. Also, when I do pack an apple, I pack a packet of almond butter. So it's the same thing you guys are going to try in a few minutes. They also have peanut butter of these. They have chocolate ones. They've got all kinds of different nut butters available. Easy for them to rip off. They can squeeze a little bit on the apple and take a bite. Same type of thing with a banana that they could do in their lunch. Any kind of fruit is awesome. Here's a peach. And here's an applesauce as well. So there are different applesauces that are all natural applesauces, unsweetened applesauces, ready, grab and go.
Yes, it is sugar, but you're picking and choosing the kind of sugar that they're getting or that you're getting. My son eats more fruit than anybody I've ever met. He'll eat a mango, an apple, a plum, and you're like, all right. You get to a point where you have to say, okay, that's it, but he'll eat a ton of fruit. And I'm okay with that because he's not going for candy bars, he's not going for gummy bears, he's not going for other stuff. If we have candy bars and gummy bears in the fridge, guess what? We all eat it, even me. So don't have it in the fridge.
Okay, so a Lar bar is also a good snack. So you guys tried those earlier. The kids don't like these, but they do. There are other bars out there that they do like. There's a Cliff bar, a kid's Cliff bar that's pretty good. There's a kid's Noji bar that they like. That is a rice base, so it's not a paleo piece, but it's almost like a Rice Krispie treat, but it's rice based, but it has a lot more macronutrients than a traditional candy bar. Trail mix is a great idea, and then two of their favorites, and this is every adult's favorite as well. These are great. These are bacon wrapped sweet potatoes. So we'll have Nicole pass these out.
Not had one of these yet ever in their life?
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Hi.
Woo!
Going to become your new favorite. I promise.
Okay, so the way you make these, you take your sweet potatoes, you peel them, and you cut them into chunks. Super easy. Take a package of bacon. Take a strip of bacon. Wrap the sweet potato. Put it in the whatever you're going to bake it in, a cookie sheet.
Don't barbecue it. It's too hard. Flames everywhere. Bacon
too much grease.
Yep.
So you put it in the oven at like 400 until crispy to your liking. So some people like bacon not crispy. Some people like it very crispy. We've got different varying opinions in our house of how bacon should be cooked, and I'm sure that's the same way in your family as well. So you just have those, and the kids love these. So I'll throw 3 or 4 of these in their lunch, and this is what they'll have. The sweet potato, the bacon is super easy, and then we have these also in the fridge for snacks for us as well.
They don't last.
They don't last. They last about a day.
If you're a spicy person, you can take a habanero pepper or anything like that and put it in there, and then it's like, boom.
Do you like it? Would you eat that for lunch? All right. Would you eat it for lunch? Awesome. Okay. Next little lunch idea for kids. So, and adults as well. We've got, instead of a sandwich, we've got turkey wraps. So basically we take a piece of turkey, you take a slice of cucumber. So I get the little Persian cucumbers, cut them in half and cut them in 4s, cut off the ends, slice an avocado, and take an avocado and a cucumber and roll it up in a piece of turkey. And they usually, I usually do 2 or 3 of those. Camille will eat these if I put a pirate's booty inside the turkey wrap. Okay, so we put 2 pieces of pirate's booty in each roll, and she's happy as a clam and is going looking for them, and it was part of that process of making them. Salami and cheese is another really good alternative if you are doing dairy.
So if we take the number that we use, which is half of your body weight in ounces, 200-pound man, not me, but 200-pound man, 100 ounces a day, right? You take your body weight, you divide it in half, that's the ounces. So my son weighs 50 pounds, half of that would be 25 ounces. That's probably a little low on that end, but 2 to 3 bottles. When do you drink that water? That's a huge part of the education that we've learned is people drink while they eat. Okay? Number one worst thing you can do for your digestive tract. It will stop the digestive process down by hours. So, if you want to eat a great big meal, you stop drinking liquids 30 minutes leading up to your meal. A sip or 2 is okay, especially if you're eating things that are spicy or dry, but you are not drinking glass after glass of water during your meal. You then wait 60 minutes to then drink your water. And it's tough to remember these things, but they will make a difference once again on the most important thing, which is your digestive tract. Okay? Also chewing. Mom was right when she said chew your food. Most of us do not chew our foods. So take the time to think about it, to chew everything from meat to a vegetable to a fruit, down to the consistency of applesauce. Everything should be that way. If you do those 2 little tricks right there, the water before and after, and chewing your food, you will notice that your digestive process will be a lot smoother and a lot quicker.
Okay, we're going to move on, continuing with snacks and kids' lunches and snacks for us. So this is ready-made guacamole from Trader Joe's. Comes in a little container. You rip the top off, and it's just avocado and spices and roasted peppers in here. You can also make your own guacamole at home. That's easy. These are plantain chips. So the only ingredients in here are plantains, sunflower oil, and salt. So what we want to do is eliminate the chips from our diet, the potato chips, the Doritos, the Cheetos, any of those processed foods, and go towards a more natural piece. So this is something that still satisfies that salty, crunchy craving, still gets you dipping, but is much, much better for you. So you could dip this in hummus, you could dip it in guacamole. You can eat them by yourself. And we'll pass them around.
Plantain is?
Yep. A banana, good.
It's a flavorless banana. And it really does satisfy that crunch, which is what most of us miss with the sandwich, right? I used to eat that turkey sandwich. I would get fancy. I would toast the whole wheat 7-grain bread. I'd put the cheese on it, the mustard, the mayonnaise, and then I'd find the perfect chip. It was purely for that satisfaction of the crunch. And that plantain, and these two, these are probably my favorite, but you've got to read, because I've bought sweet potato chips from everything from Whole Foods to Costco, and afterwards, or let's say grandma goes to the store because she knows we're healthy, and she buys a sweet potato chip, and the back of the ingredient is like corn. Why do they put corn? Once again, no FDA regulation on labels. So you've got to read the back of the label to find out. These are amazing. Really, really good.
So the sweet potatoes, if you get chips in your lunch, that's a great alternative. Putting that in a little Ziploc bag and putting it in the kids' lunch as well. The plantains, they love to eat also. All right. All right. We are going to move on and talk a little bit about dinner options. So are you guys still have room in your tummies, or are you full already? Slowing down on. All right, so we have 2 dinner options that we did for tonight. The first one is a sausage and pepper and marinara sauce mix. So basically, there's chicken sausage. You can get that at Trader Joe's. You can get those at Costco. You just want to get the one with the best, with the least amount of ingredients possible. We got just, I think, the sun-dried tomato or the sun-dried tomato and basil one for today. They have smoked apple ones. They have cheese and Gouda. They have all kinds of different jalapeno ones. So get something that you like, but also definitely take a look at that label. And what we do is you can slice it up into little pieces and cook that. So I use my wok again, mix all of that up, fry that sausage up. And then I cook the peppers and the onions separately as well, and then I mix it all together into one big batch. My kids aren't huge marinara fans, where Luke is like a huge marinara fan, so he likes it all like goulash all together. It all goes to the same place. And my kids are like, no, I like to dip it in it or just a little bit on top. So we're pretty mindful of that. What we're going to do is actually have you guys come up and put your own sauce on here if you want, just so that you can taste it with it. But this is just plain marinara sauce from Trader Joe's, and this is a paleo marinara.
Who loves lasagna and pasta? Anybody? Okay, so here's the fix, right? You still want to be able to eat those things, or you may have family members who are like, listen, the way that you eat is crazy, but you might have to make something like this for them. So think about any kind of pasta, any kind of lasagna, any kind of Italian dish that you like, take out the pasta. You can completely eliminate it altogether and use vegetables, eggplant, squash, zucchini as your pasta. Then your layer of meat, sausage, turkey sausage, hamburger meat, regular sausage, chicken, whatever it is, and then your pasta marinara sauce. I haven't found a fix yet for the garlic bread, but we're getting closer. We might find something.
How about gluten-free bread?
Gluten-free bread traditionally is going to have something in it to make it, to say there's going to be a raw, like Ezekiel bread, for example. Anybody ever heard of Ezekiel bread? It's a sprouted bread. I went sprouted bread for years because that was it. It had no wheat in it. But I found out later on that they put a wheat spray on it for some reason to give it that texture.
But on the gluten-free side, they do have gluten-free waffles at Trader Joe's, and so that's what my kids will eat when they do want waffles. We also make our own waffles and paleo pancakes, so you just make that with almond meal, an egg, a banana, almond meal, egg, and a banana. Yeah, that's it. And you mix it all up together and, basically make them just like you make pancakes. Also, there's a waffle recipe that I like to do with pumpkin. So around the holidays, around October, when this is really popular, you can get pumpkin mix. So you just get the one that's just plain pumpkin and applesauce and almond meal and egg, and that makes a great waffle. So if you have your own waffle iron at home, mix all that up, batter. And when we talk like mix it up, we're not using like specific recipes or measurements. You can absolutely do that and follow some of these books. This is one of our favorites. Also, the Paleo Solution, or the Original Human Diet, talks about how paleo works. It does give you some different meal plans and some ideas as an alternative as well. But these are great, and the kids love them. And as an alternative to a syrup, you can do berries. You can do applesauce on top. You can do berries in a saucepan with applesauce, so that it's almost like a, like a sauteed fruit.
Like maple syrup.
Yeah.
Okay? Real maple syrup, the real deal. Aunt Jemima is not going to be healthy for you.
All right, who's ready for the next course? I told you to come hungry.
Restaurant you guys took us to. Like, you got to tap out at some point. Yeah.
All right, so the next thing we've got is tacos. So this is just taco meat. So we've got just that same organic ground beef created here, and that's just cooked in a pan with some salt and pepper. Nothing else added to it.
No oil. You don't need oil on a hamburger meat. Anything high in fat, you're not going to need oil. Maybe a little spray on the skillet, but no major oils.
And then instead of a tortilla, we're going to go with a lettuce wrap. So this is just romaine lettuce, cut up, washed, and individualized. So you can use a butter lettuce cup, which I like to do as well. I also like to make a taco salad, and I use these plantain chips with all of that so that there's some crunchiness to it instead of a tortilla or tostada type piece. If you are going to do a tortilla, you want to go corn over flour. Okay? All right.
And if you're at a Mexican restaurant trying to do this, because everything we're doing here, you can order out to eat. Don't let that person say, oh, I would go out to eat too much. That's my excuse. You can order anything that we make just like this at the restaurant. You're at a party. Sandwich comes. It's got 2 big pieces of white bread on it. Just take the white bread off. You're getting hamburgers given to you, right? Just take the meat and the vegetables. Take it right off.
And you can always order them like protein style, or tell them wrapped in lettuce, or skinny is another version of that. In-N-Out is another great place to go if you are traveling or you need to stop somewhere. It's probably the healthiest fast food that you can find. You just need to ask for it without the bread.
Protein style is what they call it.
All right, so let's come on up and grab another course here. Grab a piece of lettuce, put a little bit of meat on it. There's some tomatoes here. There's some guacamole here.
And then a shaker bottle. By far, one of the greatest tools in the world. We sell them here. We have 10 of them here. I have them in the car. Post-workout, you want to have 35, let's say 30 to 40 grams of protein, depending on your gender and your activity level and how much protein you're getting in. If you find that cooking meat just doesn't work for your lifestyle, you need to have a supplementation. And this is the fastest, greatest way to go. Throw a coconut water in there for a little extra flavor and for the electrolytes. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask us or email us. We'll be around for a few minutes. And if you're still hungry,